Hello, you guys. So, it's been a minute since I've done any videos doing social commentary because I've been busy doing my World Wonders videos. For anybody who watched those and commented, thank you. And comment on this video too. Uh, Today, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how I'm always shocked over and over at the complete lack of dignity of most gay men and how our community perpetuates this idea of not having any dignity, of, just constantly airing your dirty laundry out in the public, to be proud of all of your bad habits, bad ways of going through life, the behaviors that you have that are, self-damaging and taking away your own self-worth. I'm always really shocked, today being the first day of Pride Month, which is an argument in and of itself, because I'm like, I don't understand this very vapid and shallow way that we as the gay community have embraced this idea of victimization. And to counter our supposed victimization, the only thing that we can think of is to be as obnoxious and to be as tacky and vulgar about what is the most base aspects of our being and culture as it is, which is just something I don't understand. I don't even understand why we need a Pride Month. I don't need all this external validation from society on who I decide to date. I think it's really, really creepy, and honestly, in this day and age, it's actually also become really commercialized. I mean, it's just another way for companies to slap rainbows on every single product that they sell and, convince people who think that they're somehow supporting our community to pay for overpriced crap that they don't need. But anyway, specifically what I wanted to talk about was this singer, artist, whose name I think is Todrick Hall. Again, this is not a commentary on his personality outside of what he puts out in the public. He might be a beautiful and wonderful human being. I don't know. But he just recently released this video, and it's called I'm Gay. I'm Gay. I'll include like some snapshots. Obviously, I can't put the video. I'll link the video below. You can watch it if you want. Even though I would say don't watch it because that's going to give him revenue and more views and put even more of this ridiculous idea of what it means to be a gay person out there for the world to see and celebrate. But anyway, this video came out maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and to me it was once again this... It was very stereotypical. It was very much how society tells us how gay people are, where it was just very hypersexual. It was very campy, which I do think there is some room in the gay community for camp. It's kind of like our thing, camp humor. But I would say in general, I have a really hard time with what complete and utter jokes we are presenting the world as who we are. Right now it seems that the younger people, millennials, Gen Z, they're still young enough to where they actually think this is kind of going against mainstream, going against the man, and that's why it's cool. It's cool to be non-conforming and all these gender terms and all this kind of stuff. But one day they're going to mature And one day they're going to awaken to the fact that this is actually really degrading to who we are, to who they are, to that we're presenting ourselves as complete jokes to society, that we are encouraging all of these opinions that for such a long time were so damaging to us, and were part of the reason why the generations that came before struggled so much with coming out of the closet. Because we did have this, people did see us as aggressors, as, you know, people who converted other people, as complete jokes, as shallow, as sexual predators, as sexual deviants. And we've now come to this idea of being like, oh, we're going to embrace these ideas, rather than kind of go with what the movement, and this is all minority movements, not just the gay movement, like the women's rights movement, the civil rights movement for Black people, and the gay rights movement, they all at some point in time peaked, I would say in the late 70s, early 80s. All of these movements peaked with this idea of, you know, we are going to work harder, we're going to be more sophisticated, we're going to be better than the straight white man that is oppressing us. We're going to show that we actually also can achieve and work hard and integrate into society and be the best versions of people that we can be. And then came this turn, maybe it was later, maybe it was in like the early 90s or something like that, where all of a sudden, I don't know who it was, but some force took over the community and sprinkled this idea of, you know what, rather than us work harder and work beyond our most base instincts, let's embrace these things as gay culture and be like, yeah, let's just celebrate the fact that we're drug addicts and that we're whores and that we sleep around, and, you know, that we are shallow and that we're a joke, and that it's just all become too extreme. And the fact that most people in our community don't even see that we are running ourselves, and how people at large view us into the ground, I just think is so demoralizing and so off-putting. I always tell people that the biggest enemy that the gay community and actually the Black community and feminists and everybody faces is actually not the straight white man. I would actually say it's two groups. Our greatest enemies are ourselves, because we are completely buying into our own baseness by walking around in just our underwear with like dildos on our hand in leather in front of children, this drugstore reading hour, pushing this agenda, and it is an agenda on everybody nowadays, and just literally taking out any kind of rationality or logic to anything anymore. You know, trying to convince people that they have to use fake pronouns, that men can become women, women can become men, everything is like some kind of trans, you know, polyamory is the way of the future. Just all these ridiculous ideas that are hurting us, but we're promoting them. And the other thing that is probably the other group that is our biggest enemy is the really far leftist, liberal, and this probably the middle class white people who are, you know, allies. You know, always the allies. One of our biggest enemies are these allies who are really pushing us to continue to degrade ourselves. And the thing is, they have no hat in the game. This is the part that is the most offensive and most dangerous about this, because they're gonna, you know, they're in their late teens, early 20s in college, and they're like, yeah, go out, girl, go and be a hoe, sleep with every man, ha 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 ha, you know, and they'll do that during college, and then one day they're gonna wake up and be like, oh, But now I'm going to go and I'm going to get married and I'm going to have my 2.5 children and live in suburbia. Meanwhile, I've encouraged you to go on and be as base a person as you can be and carry these long-term issues within yourself of not thinking that you're good enough to find somebody who deserves to treat you right, to respect you, to constantly think the grass is greener on the other side, to have to struggle with drug addiction, to have to struggle with validation issues because you're getting older and you're not looking as good as you used to, and your body's not the way it is anymore, and you're not getting the validation from the community anymore, and you keep going to more and more extremes with your sexual appetites. You're lowering your standards more and more because the people that used to hook up with you when you were in your 20s and everything was good and you were fresh and everything was looking nice, and they're not looking at you anymore. These are all such damaging aspects to our society and our community. And the way they're being promoted, it's just... no other... and it's so frustrating to me because especially all of these young liberal people, they're so convinced that what they're doing is going against the man, when actually all of these things now, for one thing, have become completely mainstream. And I actually do think they have really insidious evil. They all really do have really evil roots to them. Because what they're in the long term really doing is they're destroying our communities. Do you think the gay community is better off and stronger and healthier now than it was in the 70s? No. Do you think the black community is better off and stronger and better off now than... No. Do you think women are better off now? I mean, like, in terms of voting, all this kind of stuff, of course they're better off, and all of us are better off. But the group that used to really hate women and hate black people and hate gay people and have the control and used to put us in a certain viewpoint in society that kept us as second-class citizens, these are still the same people that are in power now. The only thing they've done is they're like, you know what? Why don't we just allow these groups to destroy themselves? They have found in the 60s and the 70s, we came together and we were like, we want social change. We're going to integrate. We're going to show these people that we can be just as respectful and smart and intelligent and hardworking as them. And I think this group of people really got scared, and they're kind of like, oh, well, we don't want these lower class people to actually succeed in our society. So now, instead of shaming them for their bad behavior, now we're going to go and we're going to encourage them and say, wow, celebrate your bad behavior. And now we're doing that and we're destroying ourselves. It used to be well understood in the gay community that we wanted the right to get married. We wanted to be able to live out our relationships open in public. We wanted to be able to have children, and we wanted to show society that we weren't deviants and gross and sick people. And we fought really hard for that. And now the man, whoever, is now making us go like, you know what? No. Maybe we should go back to just hooking up and just sleeping around and taking drugs, and we should celebrate it. And now we're just destroying ourselves. We've become such a joke. There's nothing to celebrate about being a whore. There's nothing to celebrate about being a vapid moron. There's nothing to celebrate about caring about nothing but hooking up and the gym and going from one relationship to another, or even openly stating to the world, I don't have the self-discipline to commit to one person only. So I'm just not even going to try, and I'm just going to right away go into an open relationship. These are not things to be proud of. You know, I didn't mention the beginning of the video. Like the thing that really in that song that really struck a nerve with me is it's one of the lyrics right in the very beginning, and he said, and the singer said something along the lines of like, "I love getting dick pics, so go ahead and take one, and when you're done, hand the phone to your brother." That is that line is so degrading. It's so vulgar. It's so tacky. It's so I literally I the entirety of my body just was like, ugh, I this is somebody in my community. This is somebody that other people, they're going to see him and they're going to associate me with that person. And that makes me so uncomfortable, so disgusted. I mean, I I cannot deal with the fact that I once again am being put in a position where I have to work twice as hard, three times as hard, four times as hard to show the world that there are gay men out there in the world who are just normal, hardworking individuals who want to be part of society, that want to have the family and the kids, that aren't going to be weird predators, who aren't going to, you know, send inappropriate pictures to their young sons and teenage sons and flirt with them and, you know, say things like, you know, oh, I could turn your husband, I could turn your husband, you know, like with the weird obsession of trying to get straight men to sleep with them. It's just, it's so nauseating. And the internal shame I feel, I feel I've mentioned this in other videos before. No straight person, no right-wing leaning, bigoted straight person has ever made me feel as ashamed of being gay as gay men like that have. You know, walking around in mini skirts and like bad makeup and reading to little children and saying things like, oh, children know about their sexuality from a really young age, and, you know, making music videos like this and like just being so obnoxious. More than anything, I'm like, gay men specifically, we need to stop thinking being obnoxious is cool or sticking it to the man. I think one of the things I think is the most ridiculous about our community is how many gay people, they're just constantly think like, oh, I showed you, you know, and I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Like, you're not serving it whatsoever. You're actually deeply embarrassing. And I feel so sorry for you on the day that you're going to wake up and you're going to look back on your life and be like, I have nothing to show but this totally degrading behavior that I've presented to the world my entire life. And it's just example after example of, you know, and I don't want to say this is only within the gay community. This is with more and more people becoming more and more addicted to social media, and everybody just wants to become famous, and people have just more and more just completely lost connection with their own personal dignity for the chance of maybe making those 5 minutes of fame somehow by making some TikTok video where they're being obnoxious, acting obnoxious, saying stupid things. They just don't care anymore. And the sexualness of everything. Everybody now has like an OnlyFans. Just, it's so sad to me that all the, and I do mostly talk about the gay community, although I can expand that to, like I said, the black community, the Hispanic community, you know, women's rights movements. This, how little self-worth people think they have. This short term, like, oh, I want strangers to validate me, you know, so put something out there in the world and, you know, I'll get 1,000 likes. But like, you do actually really have to continuously become more extreme and more extreme with your behaviors and your attitudes and the things you say and the way you act to constantly get that. We've become, as a society, so numb to so many undignified behaviors. Like, I was talking with my mom the other day, just kind of like how many people nowadays go onto an airplane in their pajamas. They bring their animal support thing, like all these things that just not even within my own lifetime would have been considered absolutely undignified. People have just completely stopped caring whatsoever, and it's just, it's really weird to me because those are the same kind of people who are constantly talk about communism and, you know, socialism and all this kind of stuff. And I'm kind of like, what is more capitalistic than to sell your own personal dignity for the pleasure of other people? You have made yourself a complete commodity to be bought and used. All of these OnlyFans and all of these stupid videos of you twerking and showing your ass and saying things like, I'm just a big hole for anybody to stick it in. I think that Jinx Monsoon person from RuPaul's Drag Race did a song like that. It was like, I'm a big hole, I'll take any dick. And I'm like, this is funny. This is gonna 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, this is gonna be funny. And then people are gonna consume it, they're going to chew it up, and they're going to spit it out. And then they're going to be done with you. And you've shown them everything. You've exposed every aspect to yourself. You've completely given up on any sense of dignity. No one's going to stick around for that. No one's going to want to date the town bicycle. That's just the way it is. And you're never going to get that dignity back, especially in this day and age where everything is captured and online. And once it's online, you're never going to get that. You're never going to live that down. And then you're going to have what you see with all of these celebrities, where it's just like one relationship after another, one relationship after another. They like, because they don't respect the other person because they were a whore and they sold themselves, and no, they don't respect you. Like, it was just like, oh, you're hot and I'm hot and blah blah, and let's get together and maybe we can have another 5 minutes of fame because, oh, so and so got together with so and so. And then as soon as that's boring, everything, then you're just gonna have to drop them again. And I mean, we need to get away from this idea that we can find this validation to get self-love and to like ourselves from other people. And we need to come back to a time where it's like, I'm living my life for me, and I'm doing the things that I enjoy for me, and I know that I deserve respect. I know that I deserve dignity from other people. I know that I deserve a man or a woman or whatever the case may be that will honor and respect me and will put in the hard damn work to only be with me. And it is work, but life is work. Always this having to go for the easiest routes, always the most base route. It's just so... And then everybody is so surprised why everybody's on depression medication, why everybody has ADHD, why everybody has to drink and take drugs and pop massive amounts of pills because nobody is happy anymore. Of course not, because you've given up all of your dignity for society to take and consume. You have nothing left within yourself. And then, yeah, you sit around with 40 and 50 and 60 and you're kind of like, okay, nobody is interested anymore. I was a complete whore. I gave it all away. I didn't leave anything for myself. Heaven forbid you might have spent some time working on your integrity, your intelligence, on your skill set, you know, becoming a very competent botanist or reading and having some kind of political or social input. No, that's all work. So we don't want to do that, right? Or actually just even working on establishing really in-depth, strong relationships with people in your family and your friendships, and heaven forbid, the person you're dating, and actually being kind of like, you know what? I care and respect you enough to actually put aside a little bit of myself for the sake of the relationship. I don't know. I'm just so over gay men. I'm just so disgusted by this is a long-term thing that you guys have seen in a lot of my videos. I'm just so bored. I'm so bored of you guys. I'm so bored of how basic and boring and just cliche and stereotypical and vapid and lacking any kind of integrity and self-dignity you guys have all become. Like, obviously not all, I've met some good gay men, but just the vast majority. What a group of boring people. What? Gay men are the most, in general, are the most boring people to be around. So, like, the gossipy, the cattiness, everybody's like going to like a club, everyone's screwed with everybody, everybody's story is exactly the same. Like, I'm so victimized. It's so hard to be a ginger. And I'm like, I don't eat carbs, and I only go to the gym, and yeah, I'm so interesting, and yeah, like I can't